Relax and get loose while I put you up on game. The Figure Booth with Josh and Nate. This that podcast for those in the know. Batman vs. Iron Man, how would it go? We talking one of a kind, collectibles. Mezco toys are respectable. It's unacceptable if it's not in the packaging. Nate don't take pics if you ain't rapping it. Nate's dirty tricks are always happening, but damn it, man, don't you be stressing. Round here we believe in plastic confessions. We trying to figure out the figures that's gonna stand the test of time. That G.I. Joe handmade hit me in the spine. There's perfection in the way that these toys are made, but I also wanna know, do I pick Wade or Slade? So this is where I come to kick it with the guys. The Figure Booth. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Hello and welcome to the Figure Booth podcast, a show in which we talk about the modern day collector, we cover pre-orders, and we do interviews with active community members in the action figure world. I'm your host, my name is Josh, and I'm joined with my friend and co-host, Nate.
Hey guys, this is Nate, aka FigureFan_Nate, and you've reached episode 51, which we're calling What's Your Why?
Ooh, sounds juicy. How are we going to break it down for them?
Yeah, it's a big question. What is your why? And you ask somebody that, they might not be able to answer it. So we've sort of broken it down as easily as we maybe could, in identifying 4 steps to help you discover what is your why.
Yeah, and a lot of times that's some of these topics that we've tackled. I think the feedback that we've really gotten, it's a little different from the everyday norm from out in the action figure world. We don't necessarily go through the same routine, but I think the feedback is very encouraging, and this is something a little different where I think just this ideology, you can apply it on so many different levels. I've personally used it on a professional and personal level, and I figured, hey, you know what, I think we can apply this as a collector, as a hobbyist. For those our figure booth maniacs, they can definitely apply it. And figuring out your why, I think, helps you give you a sense of purpose within your collection. And we've talked a lot about how we can get lost while you're collecting. You start going through FOMO, or you start jumping on the hype train, and all of a sudden your collection's out of control. You have pre-orders coming in, and we had the Butter Baron, and he was talking about how he got to a point where he was just trying to open up as many figures as he can. So I thought to myself, man, what if we help our audience members with something that's really been beneficial to me in figuring out my why in certain chapters throughout my life. I think figuring out your why as a collector, I think it's going to be really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think it's something that a lot of people should make sure that they remind themselves of.
Yeah.
What's my why? Am I sticking to my why? Am I changing kind of my perspective on what it is that I want to do? Much like for me and Josh, when we created the Figure Booth, that's one of the questions we had to ask ourselves from the very beginning is, what is our why? Why do this?
Yeah.
There are so many available live streams out there. A lot of great people in the community making great content. Prime mentioned one of them, Kevin, but there's tons of guys out there.
Oh, yeah.
So, for me and Josh, and even in our personal pages, not just on the Figure Booth, but in our personal pages, you have to kind of figure out, what is it that I'm trying to do here?
Right.
What is it that I want to broadcast to people?
Yeah.
Because whether it's somebody viewing my toy photo on Instagram, or somebody's listening to the podcast, or they're viewing the podcast, you guys are all customers at the end of the day. That sounds weird to say, but your audience is your customers. So what do you want people to know about you when they think about the Figure Booth? Or when you're discovering on YouTube and you type in, I want to know what is my why, and our thing pops up.
Yeah.
You want people to instantly identify what it is that these guys are talking about. What is it that we're trying to do? Because that's what brings people to you. It's that attraction, whether it's a thumbnail or a catchy title or word of mouth from someone else. It's the brand that you're kind of trying to create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
and
really important to think about, not just one time, but multiple times.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's the hard part, just kind of taking a seat back and looking at what is your why. And I think that's our first step. There's three big questions that you want to ask yourself. And those three questions, that first one is what? What is it that you collect? And there's so many different types of collectors out there. And I'm a big fan of the diversity of the collectors that are out there. I mean, we have your mock collectors, you keep it Ernie, shout out to the Toy Migos, and don't take them out. You don't let them breathe, right? You have your completionists that want to get every single figure out there, and you have to complete the line, and they get everything. That's awesome. You have the ones that are just specifically 112. So it's like that's how you first start out, asking yourself, what is it that I collect? What type of collector am I? Am I the one that's into props? Am I one that's gonna eventually just be into toy photography? Am I just a Marvel Legends collector, or am I a price point collector where I don't buy anything less than $50 and I buy, or vice versa? I don't spend no more than $50 on an action figure. So I think that's the first question, is just figuring out what type of collector am I. I often find myself through different stages where I would collect everything, and then all of a sudden I'd be collecting vehicles, and I had a bunch of bikes, and I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do with all these bikes if I'm not really a toy photographer like you, or like Jason B. Michael? I'm not taking those type of setups, those type of shots. So why do I have so many props? Why do I have all this stuff? Am I just trying to compete with everybody? So I think that first question is really definitely a tough one. Like, what type of collector am I? And you start looking to your left and right, and you see who's within your circle of influence, and you can kind of see like, oh, I'm not like a collector like Nate. Yes, we like the same figures, but he's obviously a toy photographer. I am not a toy photographer unless I want to pick that up. But I think that's that first question, is what type of collector are you?
Right. No, I think that makes a lot of sense, because I think that really helps with when you are collecting, keeping that focus like we've talked about.
Yeah.
What is it that I'm really after? Why did I start collecting in the first place? What truly interests me? Because there's a lot of things that play into what you might pick up, FOMO being a big one.
Yeah.
You see, like you talked about, what people in your circle are buying and talking about, and you see a new pre-order drop, and maybe personally it doesn't do a whole lot for me, but then I start to see all these people talking about it, and I'm like, well, maybe I should jump on there.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah,
I
for sure.
remember that why am I doing this in the first place? Why did I start? It should hopefully start with a passion that I have, and not just because I want to get likes out there, because that in itself, it's going to diminish very fast.
Yeah.
You'll realize people won't see the passion. It's just going to go away. So ask yourself those questions. What is it that I want to collect?
Yep.
What is it that I'm truly interested in? And then trying to stick to that as best you can.
Yeah. And I would say the second question, after you figure out what is it that you're collecting, how are you going about this? Like, are you a collector that goes out into the wild and hunts these figures? Or are you just strictly a pre-order? And sometimes that how you go about your collection really changes the dynamics of your why. Because if you want to be like the first kid on the block with that very hard to get figure, you're gonna result to that how very differently than the more casual collector. Like for myself, I could care less if I'm the last kid on the block with a new figure. I'll wait till it shows up at my local Target. But there's others that how is very crucial, and they want to be the first ones, and which is fine. But once you identify, okay, how is it that I'm going to go about my collecting? Am I going to pay top premium dollar? Am I going to go after holy grails? That's going to help you get closer to your why, and hopefully encourage and give you more clarity as to where your collection is going.
Yeah. I think when you start with your why, just to kind of branch off that a little bit more, you're letting your customers or your audience kind of have an idea into the larger mission of what it is that you're really trying to achieve. So like, why have the page?
Yep.
So when you focus on that, you make it a central point. Everybody's kind of understanding like, okay, this is what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
This is what his end goal is, whether you're a toy photographer, or whether you want to just be a completionist, or you're a local collector that helps out other local collectors and you just want to do that and that's your thing. Whatever it is, when you focus on that why, you can create that grander vision and not only be able to stand out from competitors, but just stand out amongst your peers, because Like we talked about
Mhm.
with Kevin, one of the things you want to try to do is create something that's original or unique to yourself. Like we can also, obviously we're in a toy community, we're going to collect similar figures and things like that.
Yeah.
But try to be your own person with identifying that why. Don't copy somebody else's idea. Try to make it unique to yourself, because I
Yeah.
think that's what's going to draw people to you.
Yeah, and I think that as you get closer to that why, as far as why am I collecting, do I want to, it's going to help you create this type of self-awareness. And that's step two, creating a self-awareness of the type of collector that you are, keeping a good pulse check on your collection. And I think that the level of satisfaction where you're not getting overwhelmed with all these pre-order requests, or you're not constantly hunting for the latest and greatest figure, but you're almost taking your collection at your own pace, and you're not letting anyone else kind of dictate how you collect, and you kind of put yourself out of that rat race. So that's step two. Once you get that self-awareness, you kind of figure out, okay, this is the type of collector I am, or maybe I'm progressing into this type of collector. And you saw from our previous interviews, like when Kevin was explaining, he started out as a toy reviewer, but then you saw that evolution where now he's creating content, his ideas are just flowing. And I think everyone we've had on the show, there's that natural progression where they kind of figure it out. We all start, I think, with the same origin story, where it's either a nostalgic factor that we wanted to collect, or it was because friends or family got us into collecting. But ultimately, we have that self-awareness where you have that aha moment, and then your collection kind of pivots, and you either become a hardcore Marvel Legends collector, or you become a hot toy collector. And you saw how Kevin's kooky answer was he was going to take 89 Batman and Obi-Wan Kenobi hot toys out of the fire. Those were the only two. I'm still shaking my head about that, but yeah, I
Well,
was.
that tells me a lot about what his passions are, though, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
loves Batman. He
And he
loves
loves Star
Star
Wars.
Wars,
Yeah.
specifically Obi-Wan.
Yeah, which makes sense.
So if I'm going to get him a figure, it's either going to be Batman or Star Wars related, because I know, that's just that part of that brand that he's trying to build.
Right.
But it makes sense, when you think about who he is and what I've learned about him.
And that brand, I mean, that personal brand goes a long ways. We've seen a lot of individuals in the community make something out of really a hobby. I mean, you have so many good examples where there's partnerships or sponsorships. I mean, you're a good example where you got to partner up with Mesco and you did that shoot for them for the Krig, And there's others that, I mean, you got Sergeant Bananas that works for Super 7 exclusively. You have so many others that have actually ended up working for a toy line. We have individuals that work for NECA or work for Mattel or work for the Hasbro team. And it's crazy how this can start as a hobby. Once you figure out your why and you have that self-awareness and you really focus on your personal brand, then you start opening really great doors for yourself. I mean, there's a lot of toy reviewers that have gotten the opportunity to reveal brand new legends, where before I think it was you didn't really hear about, where companies would reach
No.
out to individuals in the community and, hey, you get to reveal this action figure for the very first time.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, is that it is becoming more common nowadays to see that companies are more involved in the toy community. It makes sense. These are their customers. They're trying to make sure that they are representing their brand properly.
Right.
And why not? Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Why not have somebody that loves what you're doing
Right.
take marketing photos for you?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are like, well, I'm never going to have that chance unless I'm like a Sergeant Bananas, unless I'm a Jason B. Michael,
Right.
unless I'm a Mr. Lee. And that's not true, because I'm not as big as those guys, and I got a chance, and I didn't think I ever would. And there's guys that, that I know that maybe have smaller accounts than me. And I'm not huge by any means, but the fact that happened means that, it's not just about the likes. It's not just about building a following and being quote unquote popular. It's about the passion that you bring to the hobby.
Yeah.
People can sense that passion. I think that's what you really need to focus on when you're talking about your personal brand. What is it that motivates you? What is it that you're passionate about?
Yeah.
Because for me, when I started, like I saw, I was passionate about toys, obviously, but then I started seeing the amazing stuff and other people in the community like JC Malone and a bunch of others.
Yeah.
And that built a passion for why I collected.
Mm-hmm.
So like, hey, I collect these figures and I love them, but I don't get as much enjoyment as I really want to. I was kind of more of a Minton card collector.
Okay.
And so I see this toy photography. I'm like, man, I got to rebrand. And I
Yeah.
did. That's what I did to myself. I had an account which I called NB Toys. It was really just posting toys and communicating to other collectors about, hey, can you buy this? Can I buy this? You know, trades, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
When I found toy photography, I like went back to the drawing board. I'm like, let me create what it is that I really want here. And it was more about, I'll just be myself, because I've said this multiple times to you and others. It kept it like a dirty little secret, but I don't think that really helped me too much, because it kept me away from revealing, you know, more about myself and just being me.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I just, that's what I was passionate about. That's what motivated me. So let me rebrand and make that all of what I'm doing. And that's kind of what I've done since.
Yeah, no, and I think that's crucial to this process. That's step 3, like really focusing on your personal brand. And with that comes a lot of challenges. It's really consistency. Like for Sergeant Bananas, Jason B. Michael, and others like themselves, you see that they're consistently pumping out content. They're consistently working on their craft, or they're consistently collaborating with other individuals. Like they're taking a look at their own skill and seeing, you know, sharpening the saw. And I think that's where a lot of people fail to see um, the efforts and the work. It's like the iceberg. We're only seeing the tip of the success, but you're not seeing all the work that they've put into their craft. And I think that consistency, that's where it's going to take it to the next level. Because I do agree with you, Nate. I hear that a lot, where it's like, oh, I'm not going to get the chance, or I'm not at their level. That's not ever going to happen to me. But I think if you're just consistent with it, and you block out that noise, and you're just like, hey, I'm just going to work at it. I'm going to work on my why. I'm going to create that self-awareness, focus on my personal brand, and whether picking one line or multiple lines, and just really getting good at that craft, whatever that craft may be, whether it's reviewing action figures or taking photography or doing props. There's a lot of individuals out there that have made a name for themselves in the community. And again, it goes back to they're consistent at it. They're consistently just working at their craft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think one of those could also be, you know, community builders, people that are part of building the community. Because, you know, like they started maybe doing reviews or other things like that, but they've kind of evolved. And I'm speaking of like Unparalleled and you know, the Toy Migos, and even Unboxing Thursdays. Part of their brand is really building the community, building that awareness of, hey, these people are out here and they do different things in the community. You may or may not know who they are, but you probably have either liked something that they do or interact with them in a certain way. So let me go ahead and try to do that. So that's another way that if you don't identify in like collector or toy photography or reviewer, you could also be a community builder. I think there's very important parts to the community that we kind of forget about, but without all of that, we wouldn't be able to discover each other and have this community that we do have.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think sticking to that personal brand, whatever it is about the community that really drives you. And it's not like you have to, I mean, if you don't want to be, you know, successful toy photographer, that's fine too. You just want to do it for fun. That's cool. As long as you're having fun with it.
Yeah.
But you know, never say never, because anything is possible if you put that passion behind it. That's what people are looking for. They're looking for the passion.
Yeah. And a lot of times that passion and what you're proficient at ultimately leads to some potentially profitable, turning that hobby into something that can sustain that hobby. And some of us have been able to make this hobby sustain itself. And I think a lot of the times that's where the sense of pressure and the stress kind of comes down. The last question, or the last step, is having that vision. What's your vision? What, you know, how do you see yourself? And going to Nate's point is, you could be a community builder. You're just exposing all the positivity, shedding light. I think one that also comes to mind is Toy Page. You know, he sheds a lot of light with a certain aspect of the community, and it's all Mesco, but he does the lives, and you see that like Hasbro is taking a page out of some of our books, where they're doing IG lives now instead of just focusing on just YouTube. They know that the community is much more diverse and we're versatile. We're on YouTube. We're on different social media platforms. We're on Twitter. We're on IG live. We're doing IG live. So that's almost, I take it as a compliment to the community, where they're like, hey, you guys do IG lives. We're going to go ahead and do IG lives. So that's step 4. Like, what's your vision? You never know what that could lead to. It could lead to a lot of different opportunities and put you like in a spot of mentorship. You can mentor there's always going to be younger collectors stepping in.
Mhm.
It's so crazy, but when you say how you started this page and it was your dirty little secret, I think a lot of us back in the day, that's how we kept it under wraps. All the
Mhm.
figures were under the desk or under the bed, and we didn't share with nobody. Maybe we didn't have a community, where now it's much more accepted, and it's kind of crazy. Where I was like, man, I wish it was like this when I was younger, but at the same time, it's good that's not, because look at it, what it is now.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And it's funny because it seems like a simple concept, but it's like having that vision. It's something that you get asked a lot, like when
Hmm.
you go to maybe a job interview.
Yeah,
What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan?
yeah,
Because people want to, they want to see that you not only are in the moment, but you're thinking about what it is that you want to be in the future.
hmm,
What is my goal? What am I trying to create here? I think about like a vision board kind of
yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah,
You're putting images on a vision board or phrases on a vision board just to remind you what it is that you're trying to achieve.
hmm,
Something that you might think is impossible. Like you can have random stuff on there, like I want to reach 1,000 more followers this year,
right,
or I want to get up to 500 likes on a photo,
yeah,
or it could be really anything. I want to start a relationship with this toy photographer that I've known for a long time, or
yeah,
I've been following for a long time and don't really know.
yeah,
Or seeking mentors as well, I think is sometimes helpful and can help with that vision. Like, hey, I really like what you do. I'm looking for some guidance. How did you get started? What are the things that you think I should be focusing on? I think
right,
can really help build those visions. And I think a
yeah,
vision can evolve over time. And like I've talked about, it should be something that you revisit
yeah,
every once in a while.
yeah,
Don't set it and forget it. Like, come back to it. Just, I still have the same passions. Am I still trying to reach the same goals? If not, maybe change up a little bit,
yeah.
because it's important to have that future goal in mind, so you
And
have
and
something to work towards.
most definitely. And sometimes I think it's good to revisit that vision board and seeing, okay, like where is my collection going? So this way it doesn't get out of control. I've done some
Yeah.
cleanup where I'm looking at stuff that I'm like, I've had it in boxes. I should just probably sell it. And we've talked about this a couple times, where it's like, I'm not enjoying it. I'm gonna give it to somebody, or sell it to somebody. And then, I've sold a couple of figures here and there, and they reached out. They're like, man, I've been looking for this for such a long time. I just started collecting like last month. And to me, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. There's always going to be someone that is, hey, this is their first Marvel Legend, or this is their first Mezco, or, this is their month one, where
Mhm.
I'm like on chapter 60. Like, I've been collecting for such a long time. I think everyone's been collecting for a long time.
Right.
I see now Captain America. I'm like, I have so many Captain Americas. I can't even give away these damn Toy Biz ones. And there's someone in one of our DM groups where they're like, oh, I'm still looking for a face-off cap. And I'm like, what? Like, I remember seeing them at the store, but this guy was like probably 10 when they were at the store. So he had, his mind was not
Right.
on collecting Marvel Legends. And I think I don't know, like, I don't know how I really feel about that. Sometimes that's really, like, it puts me in a different place where I'm like, damn, there's always going to be someone that's going to be looking for that guidance. So
Mhm.
I gotta remember to stay humble, because not everyone's gonna. You can't just go around assuming that everyone knows everything. I
Right.
think I was watching one of the lives, and I could have been with the Marvel Legend team, or I don't know. It was one of the lives, and the comments were just going berserk, where they were talking about like how inaccurate the character was because of the comics, but this character was kind of unknown, and I was like, man, there's so many people that don't like. There's Marvel Legend collectors that don't read comics, and they just collect the action figures, whether it's MCU line or whether it's just comic line. Like, I was a very heavy comic Marvel Legend collector, but I don't read every single comic book, and I don't know every single backstory to every character. Um, but I've had friends where they approach me like, man, this character, and they give me the backstory. They're like, you should check out this run. That's a much better approach than just
Mhm.
coming off and be like, oh, this is totally wrong. This is trash. This is garbage. And then just go down like that troll path that we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, don't hate,
Yeah.
educate.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
don't
crazy.
yeah, don't hate on me because I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Maybe reach out and be like, hey, if you didn't know, that's this character's backstory. And if you're
Right.
interested, these are some good comics to read.
And
You know,
that's that's where I find myself like, man, I don't know. I didn't know nothing about this
Hmm.
character, or I didn't
Right.
know like their first comic appearance. I'm like, if I didn't, and I'm here thinking of myself like, oh, I know I've been collecting for like 20 plus years. Like I got it under my belt. I'm like, no, there's still a lot of shit I don't know about. So when, you know, people comment on like, oh, this is the best toy of this, or whatever their comment, I always got to remember like, hey, this could be like their first time seeing it, or this could be their first year into collecting. And
Right.
we do have a group of collectors on Instagram that we all chat with each other, and there's one guy in there who's brand new. This is like his second year collecting, and I always get a kick out of that because he'll ask us some, and it's great. He comes to us and he'll ask us like, hey, is this a good price? I'm seeing this on OfferUp, or I saw this, I'm doing this deal with this individual on Facebook or whatnot. And then we give them the tips like, hey, send send your payment over good in services. Like don't send
Hmm.
family and friends if you
Hmm.
don't know the dude. And, all that stuff that you think would be common sense,
Right.
that it's only common sense for me because I've been burned before where I felt like you could trust everyone in the community. And then I got burned where, yeah, it was only like 13-15 bucks, but then the guy never sent me my figure. And I was like, what? And then I found out, hey, if you don't know the person, you probably shouldn't send it over family and friends.
Yeah, and I think that kind of behavior is what sets the tone for how others are going to interact with others in the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if Prime decides to, you know, uh, charge me for something and then
Yeah.
not give me what I'm asking for,
Yeah.
or back out on a deal after we've already agreed on it,
Yeah.
I might get sour on that, and the next time I interact with somebody else, I might transfer that onto them.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm not going to give you the deal that I want because I got screwed over, and now I'm going to
Yeah.
pass that on to you, and
Yeah.
that just creates that snowball effect. It's like that old movie with Kevin Spacey, and bringing up Kevin Spacey. I'm like, man, I wish that guy was still making movies. Everything else
Yeah.
aside, but pay it forward.
Oh, huh.
Is a good
Yeah.
idea. Like, pay it forward. Try to help other people out, and that could be your own brand sometimes.
Yeah.
Like back in that comic example, if you are like an expert on comics and you see a lot of people in the community are saying incorrect things, or
Yeah.
you're having to constantly educate, maybe focus on that as a goal for your page. Like, you know what? I know a lot about comics.
Yeah.
I'm going to make posts that educate others about really unique and maybe abstract characters that people
Yeah.
don't know about.
And the funny thing is that sometimes that right there is the thing that we hold ourselves back. We're like, oh, because I'm such a comic nerd, I'm not going to share with anybody. But you'll find like there's people like myself. I love that type of stuff. Like
Yes. Right.
I know a good amount of comics, but there's a lot I don't know. And I would love for someone to just like drop knowledge and be like, hey, these are some really great stories. This is a great character. There's a lot of underrated characters that I haven't heard of, and some that I have, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I haven't read. Obviously, I haven't read all the stories, but that type of stuff where it's like if you're the subject matter expert in this genre, like use that as your passion that you're proficient at, and then share it with us because man, that type of stuff I freaking love.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's how, you can really help out others. And that's one thing, like, even though I'm not a, toy photography expert, but even with the dirty trick,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help others with just tips that might
Yeah.
help you if you're a new toy photographer or if you want to try something.
Yeah.
The worst thing that you can do is say I can't without trying. You have
Yeah.
to at least try. Otherwise, you are not really putting the effort in. Like, you didn't really have the passion to begin with if you're not willing to try.
Mm-hmm.
Like Prime, for instance, he started Instagram collecting, but now he's known as the arcade guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And maybe he didn't
Not by
have that as
choice.
a he might not have had that as an original vision, or
Oh
maybe
yeah.
the brand that
Not
he
at
was
all.
thinking, but he's
Mhm.
kind of created that brand for himself. And yeah,
Yeah.
he has other parts to his page, not
Right.
just about arcades. He does
Right.
a lot of other things, props and dios and all of that, but he's created his own brand. And now you see, sometimes imitators trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But he's kind of built his own thing that way. You just got to
Yeah.
think about that for yourself. What is it? Maybe what's something in the community that I think is missing?
You know what's funny is that sometimes I'll get DMs like people will be in arcades. Like I just got a DM over the weekend where somebody was in a layover, and they're like, "Hey, I stopped by at this arcade bar and grill. So like totally thought of you." And he sent me a bunch of pictures. And he's like, I'm playing all these games. I'm like, "Oh, Prime made this one." Prime. So it cracks me up how people will be like, "Hey, I'm on
Yeah.
arcade," and they'll just send me a picture or they'll tag me, and I freaking love it. But I think like coming full circle and then coming to the conclusion of like what is our why, and how the progression of like our page and even this podcast, the Figure Booth. When I first started collecting, there was a lot of resources that I wish were readily available, and I had to go hunting, and I had to like really go get lost in the weeds of whether it was YouTube or online research or some funky websites of how to customize, how to paint. And I think that's what we try and do here. We want to bring all the resources and bring on these guests that share the best practices. I think that was the idea behind Your Dirty Tricks, is giving that first novice collector who's stepping behind the lens and got their first camera, what better place than to have these tips and tricks all in one location. Sticking to us and listening to us will not only, we're going to give you insight, but we're going to give you the best practices and some of the challenges that you may face, and hopefully they won't be as hard as they were for us. And I think that's why I started. I'm like, this is my why behind the podcast, is I really want to make collecting fun for that collector, because it was fun. It's been fun for me, but I've gone through highs and lows. And when I was at my low, I was like, I hated collecting. I hated everything about action figures. I felt like it was a chore. Like I just had to collect to keep up, and I was drowning. And I was like, found myself where I was like, oh, when I first moved out, I was like, I still wanted to collect like I was collecting when I was living at home, but I have to put gas, or I had to buy myself food. And I'm like, do I buy food, or do I buy these figures that I want? I'm like, nowadays, I would want somebody to talk to me and be like, hey, collect at your own pace. Like, don't worry about getting those exclusive. Like, you're obviously doing things a little bit wrong. Like, just chill. You shouldn't be deciding whether you need to feed yourself or buy this Star Wars pack. And then I was collecting everything. That was the thing. That was the problem. I was collecting Hot Wheels, Star Wars, Marvel Legends. I was like, it was all over. I was crazy. I was like a freaking plastic junkie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it comes down to it again, Prime, please buy the food.
No. Yes, no, now I have a much better control my addiction, my plastic addiction, where I'm like, no, I don't need that. I'm not gonna hunt. And I don't hunt anymore. Ever since like it just life gets in the way, where I'm like, and Toys R Us is gone. So that was the good old days.
Yeah, that was the classic hunt. That was like the true figure hunt.
And it's so
Toys R Us.
And it's so funny how so many out there had like, hey, that's my Toys R Us. This is my turf. And I know all the secret aisles of where people hide their stuff. Like, it was so funny. Like, I remember my older brother would take me to our local Toys R Us, and he was like, hey, this aisle is where we stash our figures. And I was like, well, what's going on? It was ironically enough, like you were seeing, it's like, oh, that's so and so stash. Like, that's like you start to know the regulars, and it's like it's almost like a turf. Like, hey, don't go down aisle 9. That's Dirty Nate's aisle. Like, don't go down that aisle.
Yeah, you don't want to go down there.
Yeah,
you're gonna run into Dirty Nate, and you might not make it out.
Yeah, but I think that was the why behind the podcast. Now is like we want to have resources for that first time collector, or even the seasoned collector that's like, man, I'm freaking frustrated with this. Or, I recently read about a low grade burnout, and the low grade burnout is when the joy of life is out, but the continuous parts of the everyday life, like you still have to go to work, you still have to put gas, you still have to pay your bills, that type of stuff still continues, and you feel burnt out, where you're like, there's no joy in life. Like I'm feeling like I'm stuck in the mud. Hopefully this kind of puts everything in perspective and tells you and reminds you like, hey, it's okay. Maybe that's a quick reminder to take an inventory check. Is enjoy what you have behind you or in those boxes. Lately, right now, I've been going through the backlog of all my pre-orders for the last couple of months. Yeah. And man, I've been having so much fun. It's crazy enough, and we'll get to our plastic confession later, but a little sneak peek for our visual, and those listening to us, you'll hear about this, but I just unboxed this guy right now, like right before we started, and I've had him since December, and I just unboxed them, and I've been messing with them before we set up, and I was like, what was wrong with me? Like, but again, I was so stressed, like life was getting crazy. I didn't have time to enjoy my figs, and right now I'm starting to enjoy my figs all over again. I freaking love it.
Yeah, and for anybody listening, he just showed the Mafex armored Batman from The Dark Knight Returns, and yeah, it's a great figure. But I've been doing the same thing where I've had tokens the last few episodes because I'm not collecting. I'm trying to enjoy what I have and opening figures that I haven't opened yet. But yeah, I mean, to Prime's point, just hopefully this is helpful for you guys.
Yeah.
If you are getting started, or if you want to rebrand yourself, or if you've been wanting to take that leap,
Yeah.
just think about your unique value proposition, and then try to articulate that. What is
Yeah.
something that I could bring of value? Do your research. What do
Yeah.
you think is missing?
Yeah.
What have people already done on this? How can I provide something that's different? That's how you can position yourself with a clear brand, a clear image, a clear why. And sort of treat yourself. I mean, if you really want to grow, treat yourself kind of like a small business. Like, you've got
Mhm. Oh,
customers
yeah.
that are your audience. Be available for those questions. I'm always available for toy photography stuff. Like I said, I've said this so many times, I don't consider myself an expert. I go to others for advice all the time.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to ask those questions.
Yeah.
And then, just try to be a positive member of that community, because that
Yeah.
comes back
It
10
does.
times fold.
Oh, it
If
does.
you are negative, nobody's going to want to deal with you. That's just the
Yeah.
way it comes down to it.
Yeah.
You're allowed to voice your opinion, but do it in a way that is not alienating to people, because that's the one thing that will turn people away from you.
Yeah.
If you're negative and you're an asshole and you're just not approachable, nobody's going to want to do business with you.
Yeah.
So just think about that stuff. Hopefully it's
Yep.
helpful for you guys.
Yeah.
Cool. Great topic. Hope you guys enjoyed that. While you guys are hitting the like button on this episode, make sure you leave a comment below. What are your thoughts about what's your why?
Yeah.
What are some ideas that you guys have about how to build that brand or how to discover what it is? We'd love to hear from you. You guys have been great about leaving comments. Thanks so much for that support on our last episode
Mhm.
with
Yeah, that's
the
been
Butter
great.
Baron himself, with Kevin, aka Toying Around. If you haven't checked it out, you need to check it out. It was a great episode. We actually have more coming.
Yeah.
So
Excited.
we have another big interview coming. Very excited for that one. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the Figure Booth on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our new episodes, because you don't want to miss the next one.
Yep.
But moving into our next segment, we will talk pre-orders.
And it's pre-orders were a little kooky this week. It was like I felt like some of these pre-orders, I'm like, wait, am I in deja vu? I'm seeing this again.
Yeah,
some that I missed out on. But I love that. Like, hey, they're reissuing some figures that I missed out on. I still didn't get any, but
it's funny that you bring that up, because that's
Yeah.
my first one, is talking about a pre-order that if you didn't jump on this originally, I really recommend you jump on these pre-orders, because you've got the reissue of the Mafex comic version Venom.
yeah,
This is
great
one
fig.
that I missed out on originally, so I made sure to pre-order him now that I had the second chance.
Nice.
And I've heard nothing but positive things about this figure. I had a conversation earlier this week, or maybe last week, with AZ Toy Hunters Guild. Mike, he's like, should I take the plunge? I don't know about this Venom. I'm like, take the plunge, man.
Yeah.
The Mafex comic line is unbeatable.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. In addition, they reissued the Spidey.
Yeah.
So,
I almost got another one, but I'm hoping for the comic one, but I have that one. I was like, I should get a second one, but no, I just, again, I chilled out. I was like, I already have Venom. I already have Spidey. I can just chill.
oh man, I just totally screwed that up. Yeah. So the Mafex comic Spidey came out fairly recently. Here it is.
Yeah.
Not fairly recent. What am I saying? Came out a long time ago. It's probably one of the first ones in the Mafex comic line.
Yeah.
And it is an amazing figure.
Yeah.
So if you missed out on it originally, don't miss this chance.
And I think that's part of my Achilles heel is like, I'll love a figure so much. I'm like, I gotta have another one in case it breaks, or just one to keep on ice. You never know. Yeah, this was so tempting. I was like, I had them in my cart, but I didn't check out.
Yeah, I didn't get another one either, because this is one of the ones I did not miss out on. But for anybody out there, I know these have sold out actually pretty fast in a lot of different sites. I think for the most part, and all the popular ones, these are gone again.
Yeah.
However, Hobby Search, when you say Hobby Search and then you look at the URL, you're like, how's that Hobby Search? But it's www.1999.co.jp/ENG. That'll take you to Hobby Search. I've actually bought maybe one or two things from them before.
Oh,
They
okay.
have both of them available right now. So don't miss out while you can, because I think once these are gone,
They're
I
gone.
don't think they're going to reissue them a third time. Normally,
That's
Maplex
crazy that
is.
they reissue them again. That's
I can't believe
yeah,
that they reissue the comic Spidey again.
yeah, no.
Because they did a different version. I was expecting, okay, they're probably going to do the second version as a
Oh, if they would
remake.
have done the comic version, the comic book, or yeah, the comic version, I would have the cell shaded one.
Yeah, probably would have grabbed it.
I would have grabbed it.
Right. Yeah. So definitely recommend those. These are great.
Yeah.
As far as other pre-orders, there's actually quite a few things that were released this week. We've got the Star Wars Lola animatronic edition. So this is based on the Kenobi show.
Oh.
I don't know if this is really considered a figure.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people went crazy for the BB-8 when that came out from Force Awakens. This seems to kind of be the same idea, where it's an animatronic droid that you can interact with. I think it can see you.
Can it bring you a beer? If one of these droids can go fetch me a beer, that'd be awesome.
It cannot bring you a beer.
Dang it.
Pretty sure about that.
All right. Once they do, then I'll buy one.
I think it's mainly just kind of responds to your sounds. Like
okay.
You can talk to it and it will respond back to you.
Yeah.
It's got all these movements that are inspired by the show.
That's cool.
Not really my cup of tea, but I just thought I'd talk about it here. In case anybody didn't know, this went up. I think it went up around the same time that Kenobi went live.
That's awesome. Again, a lot of great stuff. It's a great time to be a collector.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of good stuff coming on. Now we have a new Snake Eyes, yet another version of Snake Eyes. I think we're up to 4 different Snake Eyes now.
Yeah.
And another version of Timber.
Oh, Timber, not Muttley or Stanley.
Yeah, not Stanley R. Stanley R. Is that what you're talking about? Sorry, the Mick really
Timber,
very well.
And he has that like camo Green Force pants. That's the difference. And some accessories and stuff like that.
Yeah, Snake Eyes is rocking the camo green pants, which I don't know if these are the same as the exclusive version.
Yeah.
But he did have kind of like a drab olive colored pant, and this looks like it's more of a throwback to that original Snake Eyes with the silver visor, because I think a lot of the versions he has the black visor. This one has the silver.
Damn it.
Oh, what's that?
Those are the small details where it's like, damn, I need one with the silver visor. Or like when they showed this, I was like, oh, they're gonna make another Snake Eyes, and it'd be like the Arctic one. Because I remember when I was a kid, I had a bunch of Snake Eyes. I had like the Arctic Snake Eyes. I had like the camo one, and one that he didn't come with Timber, and then another one that he did come with Timber. So I can foresee them doing like an Arctic Snake Eyes, because then G.I. Joe's like they all came in like these different seasonal, like, hey, it's summer Snake Eyes, it's fall Snake Eyes, it's Halloween Snake Eyes, and I mean, kudos to them. It's a great marketing strategy, and man, their last live with this was a really good one. For those that missed out, it's gonna be a no for me. But their Sergeant Slaughter, I'm all in for their Sergeant Slaughter.
I don't even think I have that one queued up. We might have
no,
to look
because
that one up,
I think they only showed them on their stream, and they're gonna at the end of June, they're gonna really like give us full details of when he's gonna be available. And he comes with so many accessories, and they're teasing for like it's gonna be something big. So I'm like, is it gonna be a Dio? Is it gonna be a vehicle? What's gonna happen with this?
It's pretty crazy how popular Sergeant Slaughter is when you think about different lines.
Oh yeah, I mean he was massive. He was huge in the 80s,
Yeah, Action Force did their own Sergeant Slaughter. Mattel has done their own Sergeant Slaughter. Now Hasbro is doing a Sergeant Slaughter. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is.
Definitely. I think it's going to be very popular. One thing I want to say about this set, as I look at Timber being a different variation, why don't they give us an animal multi-pack?
Oh, yeah.
2 different versions of Timber. You get that crocodile from the recent release. You get the eagle.
Stanley.
You get Stanley R, the Rottweiler.
Yeah.
You get the crocodile, like I talked about. The eagle. I can't remember who that came with.
Spirit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be great. Give us a animal multi-pack. I am all in for that.
That would be awesome.
I think that'd be really cool. I think a lot of people would be like, hey, I don't want another Snake Eyes, but I would love to have maybe
Give us a
2
couple
different
of
timbers.
packs. Like I want to do a White Fang photo shoot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
give us a bunch of give us a bunch of.
Primes into some different stuff here, guys. He wants to do a White Fang photo shoot. You heard it here first.
Hey, that was a good movie. I remember. I think they made us watch. They made us watch it so much. I remember watching it so much in school. It's like, damn, White Fang again. And then half the class
And then
is
you end up
crying.
loving it, and now you want.
Yeah, and then we had to read the book, and I'm like, oh, can we just watch the movie?
Can we watch that again? I want to
Yeah.
watch that again.
But a pack of wolves.
Yeah,
We need
pack
a
of
wolf
wolves and whatever. Yeah, just give me some animals because it's clear that you guys are investing into the animal sculpts, and you get 2 different heads for timber.
That was
That's
the great
cool.
thing about Joe's. Like their weapons, they come with a bunch of weapons. I'm like, keep that up. With that Sergeant Slaughter that they tease, he comes with a bunch of hands. He comes with like a little mini Sergeant Slaughter. Like do accessory packs. Like I know vehicles are down the line. Like that's the scary part. It's like once they start dumping vehicles in like Joe's in the 90s and stuff, like I remember having those large vehicles and it was so freaking awesome. Like you can make bases and all that good stuff. So it's like if Hasbro is going down that way with classified, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah,
my only thing is just distribution. That's it. I never see the Joes I want. I always see G.I. Jane and freaking Flint.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see a lot of the current ones. It's weird because G.I. Joe when they started were really hard to find.
Yep.
Then they went through some weird period where it was like, oh, these are plentiful now.
Yeah.
And I was finding them everywhere.
Yeah.
Now it's gone back to I don't see them at all anymore. I see Lady J, and
I still see Lady J, and I'm like, I don't want Lady J now.
Right, I don't want that anymore. Or the other military guy, I can't remember
Flint.
his name.
Yeah, it's Flint.
Flint, thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I see a lot of him.
And Flint's a good. I think I got 2 of him, and I'm like, I want other ones, different.
Yeah. But yeah, give us more and give us these accessories, this level of accessories in Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
Give us that kind of stuff. That's what we're looking for. This other one, I saw that these kind of dropped. I didn't know these were coming, but I'm probably going to butcher the way this is pronounced. Saurozoic Warriors.
Oh, nailed it.
Saurozoic Warriors. Okay. From Boss Fight Studio. These are 1/12 scale, and they look to be kind of retro style dinosaurs. I think they're pretty rad. I really love the bright colors.
It reminds me of like Street Sharks or something.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It gives me that kind of like retro Street Sharks vibe. So you've got Mar Osis, which looks like a bad guy. You've got Range Brachion, which looks like a brontosaurus type, long neck.
That's cool.
Comes with, again, I love the colors. Yeah. Very bright. I can see this working really well for toy photography. You've got Ceratopsian Guard. I'm trying my best here, guys. Ceratops. Oh, get it. I get it. Ceratopsian Guard. Okay. It looks like
way better than me. I would have been like, nope, pass. This some Triceratop looking dude, and it's he doesn't have 3 horns. Come on,
right? He doesn't have 3 horns. He's got 1.
Yeah,
I like.
Oh, that's a cool mask.
Yeah, that's a cool mask.
Like he has like this gas mask
dinosaur.
That's cool.
And these are only $30 each.
Not bad.
That's cheap for a 1/12 scale figure in this day and age.
Yeah.
From I know you can get $28 Legends, but this is, I think,
kind of unique.
Very unique. Yes, I was going to say very unique kind of style.
That's cool. I like this one. I wonder how like this guy would look. What's the Triceratops from TMNT that Super 7's doing? Triceraton?
Oh, yeah, Triceraton.
That guy looks freaking awesome. I remember having the Playmates, and that was like one of our favorite figures with me and my younger brother. And I saw this guy, and that's what it reminded me of. Like,
it'd be a good way to do army build, maybe.
Yeah.
Just grab a few of these for your NECA Triceraton.
Yeah.
Smart.
You heard it here first. Figure booth. Confirmed.
Then we've got the Transformers Cross G.I. Joe. I think this is awesome. I love how they're crossing streams here. So you've got Transformers and G.I. Joe kind of coming together in this AWE Striker and Stalker figure set.
Looks badass.
I think Nose Rain and Plastic Action and quite a few others. I saw some other people posting this in their stories recently. Yeah. Got some of these figures. So check out Nose Rain's post. He did like a Megatron.
Really cool.
Baroness. And Plastic Action did a same shot with the same figure. Not same shot, I should say, but same figures into a shot.
Yeah.
This is another variation, I think, of that idea where you've got a Bumblebee-looking figure with a G.I. Joe character.
Yeah.
And I think, is this him in car form?
Yeah, that's him in car form.
Wow, that
or
is
vehicle
cool.
form. That looks really
You can't
cool.
even tell.
No.
That looks like a vehicle by itself, and then you're like, okay, I can see this. It's
Yeah.
probably hidden underneath the chassis or something, but wow, that's pretty cool.
Man, and seeing that, it's just like takes me right back to my childhood. I'm like, am I gonna get back into Transformers? Seeing
Even
this
with the classic packaging, yeah,
exactly. And it reminded me of, again, going back, when I was really into comic books, I read a line from IDW, and it was G.I. Joe and Transformers, and the artist was Jay Lee. Freaking amazing story. It was a little bit dark, and it was so freaking cool, because then you had like Ravage and Storm Shadow going against Snake Eyes and Bumblebee, and there was just it was awesome how like Destro and Starscream were trying to take out Megatron, and it was a really good story, and I love the freaking artwork in that. But then when they announced this, I was like, I want to pull those comics and read them again, and maybe do a shot. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I don't take pictures, so I'll just tell Nate.
I will try my best to not disappoint you, Prime. But yeah, I think it's the only one I've seen so far on BBTS.
Yeah,
they'll probably be releasing more. I think they did a stream this week, which I did not catch, where they covered some of that.
Yeah. It was a pretty nice stream.
Awesome. Yeah, I gotta catch those lives more because I always miss those.
And sometimes they're kind of random. Like again, like I think they're doing one every week in June. Their next one is going to be on IG. So just a heads up, if you're wanting to catch the next G.I. Joe stream for Yojo June, it's going to be on IG.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Covering the pre-orders, we'll go right into Plastic Confessions.
Yeah.
I'll start this week.
Nice. Go ahead.
I am not getting a token, everyone.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Finally,
bank.
A new addition to the collection. I've been waiting for this one to arrive. But I got the NECA
nice
Mausers set.
Those are nice.
Yeah, this comes with 6 different Mausers, one of which is damaged. And
very cool.
I should have probably opened these up before the stream, but I didn't. But you got all the Mausers, and then it comes with a ton of different rats. You can't really see
right
them
up
in
your
there.
alley.
Yeah, rats.
You and the rats.
Mausers. I love it. That's kind of, you can see some of the rats
awesome.
in the Mausers. But yeah, these
cool.
are sweet. You can put a Psy into one of their heads.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you could have Raph fighting a bunch of Mausers, and he's got one of them where it's damaged.
I hated those Mausers in the video game.
Yeah, they were really annoying in the game.
Yeah, they were.
And they're fully articulated, like their legs move,
that's
their
really cool.
mouth moves. You can swap their heads and stuff. Pretty excited for this.
Yeah.
They were released as a NECA store exclusive, I think, at first. But I would imagine that these are probably going to come out in retail stores at some point.
Yeah.
So hold out, guys. Don't pay the scalper prices.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see these again. Much like NECA's history, we'll reissue it down the line. So don't freak out too much.
Yeah.
Well,
for me, we just had last week, we had the Enablers episode with Kevin. So I did all my unboxing there, and it was my BBTS pile of loot, which mostly comprised of Super 7. I ended up getting the Mumra, Lino, Panthro, Tigra, and then NECA's Elvira. So plenty to unbox, and it was completely blown away by the Super 7 quality. Again, that Mumra was just and I was surprised how big he is. I wasn't expecting him to be that large. He's a pretty hefty figure. Like, I've seen some reviews, and I was like, okay, but once you have him in hand, wow, he's quite large.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're getting more and more into those Super 7s now too.
Yeah.
So
it's a little scary.
Fueling the fire too. You're like, oh man, these are all great.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you're gonna have that Thunder Tank. You're gonna have to fill out the ranks.
Oh, the Thunder Tank's gonna be sitting somewhere back here. Maybe like I'm gonna have it it's gonna come down from the ceiling and then just rotate and then go back up. And then I finally got a chance to open up my NECA, the Mummy and the Wolfman and the Dark Knight Return armored from Mafex.
Nice.
So all 3 of those figures, and I reached reorganized kind of my shelves back here. I don't know if you guys can barely see it, but took down the previous figures because I was like, those were from last year. Let's put up stuff that I'm getting this year. So now I have like a mini monster shelf with Frankenstein, the Mummy, Werewolf. And let's see what NECA drops next. I know they're gonna.
I love it, man.
They
Yeah,
need-
you're revamping that background too. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You got some new lights in there too.
yeah. They have a little. There's a
Yeah,
party
you're
going
having
on
like
behind me.
Toys are having a disco party back there.
Yeah, Disco Stew.
So no tokens this week. Nice.
Yes.
That's an achievement. All right. So now Nasty Nate's dirty trick for the week. This one's pretty basic, but you'd be surprised how much you don't think about this. Clean your camera lens.
Oh yes.
A lot of people buy a camera, they set it and forget it. Some people never take their lenses off. Or when they do take it off, they just throw it into a bag and take it back out and put it back on the camera. But a clean lens, if your lens is not clean, let's say it's got some dust or just little particles on it, that's the easiest way to get a blurry photo.
Oh,
So if you're trying to take a shot and no matter what you're doing, it's not focusing, it's blurry, you can't figure out why this keeps coming out so blurry, maybe try cleaning your lens. And when I say clean the lens, clean, the front part of the lens. Yeah, like don't just get a paper towel or something.
Just get a tube sock and just blow on it, just spit some.
Don't listen to Prime because you will scratch your lens. Get like a microfiber cloth, something like this. This is just something basic. Get a microfiber cloth, maybe just a tiny bit of Windex. Sometimes I don't like to use any cleaning solution. I just like to use the cloth and just gently wipe it off. But I was taking photos a couple days ago and I started noticing these like little dots on the figure. And I'm like, is that on the figure? So I went and picked the figure up. I'm like, no, like, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
And then I looked at my camera lens and it had like this dust all over it. I'm like, oh shit, that's been probably in my last few photos and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
But after doing that, I find that the photos are coming in a bit more clear.
Nice.
So all of that kind of builds up, if you're not cleaning it, and it can really kind of just start to distort your image. So clean the outside of the lens, clean the inside. Be very obviously careful as you're taking that off and you're looking at your sensor. But if you have like that canned air, try spraying that in there a couple times. Mm-hmm. It does wonders. So that goes without, sometimes people just don't think about that.
Yeah, going back to the basics.
Keep your gear clean. Like you want to keep, like Prime probably likes to keep his workstation clean when he's building arcades.
Yeah.
Keep your camera clean because that's what's generating all your work.
Oh, yeah.
So if that's not clean, it's going to affect everything else that you're doing.
That's awesome. That's a good one.
Cool. And last but certainly not least, we're going to go into our Figure Aficionado. If you're listening and you think to yourself, man, my friend really needs some recognition. Mm-hmm. Or this guy that I discovered really needs more followers.
Yeah. What do I do? Tell me.
Yeah. What does Prime do? Prime can DM us on Instagram, or after he hits the like button, he can leave a comment below about his Figure Aficionado. Yeah. Something that he's been following that I might not know about.
Spread the love. That's what we need from you guys. Spread the love. If you guys love what we're doing here, you guys are enjoying this content, you guys have enjoyed the ride so far, that's what that's what we need you guys to do. Spread the word, repost it, share it, tag us in your guys' story. That's going to help us to keep continuing bringing great content like this for you guys.
Absolutely. Yes. And we did get a episode suggestion this week. We're going to try to build that into the future.
Yes.
You know who you are if you're listening. Yeah. Keep those coming, man. We love stuff like that. So no more delay. We'll go right into the Figure Aficionado. And this week it is AD.toys.
Yeah. Awesome. Some great picks, man.
Great picks.
The setups. There's a lot of and just the layout that he does. I really love it. He does the pick. Yeah. You can see the BTS and just really it gives you insight. Again, that's what I really love. Like that's going to be my new why, like providing insight, information beyond the obvious, trying to get something. There's some type of takeaway. Going to his page, I was like, holy moly. And really you can see different mediums. It's not just all tangible. Like I I'm not one to bash if you use Photoshop. It's like that's a skill as well. Like that it's
Right.
there for a reason. And there's a lot of great artists that produce amazing stuff using Photoshop. So
Yeah, don't hate on Photoshop, people. That takes
yeah,
a whole lot of skill
yeah, his
in
pictures are
itself.
crisp. These pictures
Yeah,
are
and
so nice.
this guy, like you talked about, his setups are fantastic. He's got stuff going on in the background in almost every single scene. You can see Shocker here. Probably just got his ass handed to him by
Yeah.
Billy Moon. I mean, Armored Spidey.
Billy Moon.
Um,
Yeah. Every time I see
uh,
Armored Spidey, I'm like, oh, it's Billy Moon.
I can't get it out of my head. It's Billy Moon
Yeah.
every single time. But yeah, the BTSs, I love the BTS, really showing the diversity of the setups.
Mhm.
I love building scenes like this where you just got a lot going on, little tiny elements for people to focus on. But yeah, this guy's got a lot of skill. He deserves a bigger following.
Yeah.
So if you have not discovered him, go check out ad.toys, exactly as I said it. You can see it on the screen if you're watching. But yeah, great
Yeah.
figure aficionado. Keep killing it, man. I've
Yeah.
really
Great
enjoyed
job.
your work for sure.
Almost enabled me to go get that freaking Shocker.
Well, hey, if it enables you anymore, right now I think Empire Toy Shop has it for like $10.
And so does Dorkside too. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna just keep waiting. Like I'm waiting for Amazon. Amazon, come on, do $7, $9.
it
Lose
does look
it and
really
then
good. I mean, look at this
yeah.
photo.
Yeah, that's Shocker. It's a classic
kicked-
Shocker. I freaking love
Yeah,
it.
he kicked Armored Spidey and regular Spidey's ass, and he's walking off like a boss. And I love these pieces of newspaper.
Yeah.
The little milk crate here. You got the dumpster in the back. It's that world building.
Yeah,
You're building a
Spidey's
story.
back there. He's like, oh man, like he's grabbing his chest. You know, he's in pain. Billy
It's
Moon
like, damn.
Spidey, he's stuck in a pillar. He's like, he can't get out.
Yeah, he got rocked. They're questioning why right now.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
Awesome. So that's it, guys. Thank you again. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed what we brought to you today. As always, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all under Prime to the First.
And you can find me, aka FigureFan_Nate, at Instagram. I won't even say TikTok anymore. Facebook. That's about it. If you guys want to support the podcast and you want to get a cool shirt like this, which was made by Adam.Gons, we have a bunch of other photos, a bunch of other t-shirts, on our website at thefigurebooth.com. Go check it out. Support the podcast. Everything goes back into the podcast so we can provide better content for you. And if you want to get your own arcade and be an arcade guy yourself, check out prime-arcade.com.
Yes.
You can build your own arcade. He's got 4 that are available all the time, and he provides free shipping over $100. So grab yourself 2, take advantage of that free shipping, and you can start building your own arcade. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week.
Until next time, guys.